Hey everybody, it's your boy Protagonist JWa with Gardening with JWa, and I don't know how this is going to turn out because it's very windy out this morning, but this is my Sherry Loquat. Look at this beautiful baby. The bees, it's not warm enough for the bees to come out, but she's got a lot of flowers that are starting to come open, as you guys can see. So this is super beautiful. Give you an even bigger view. Try to see if I can do it without the sun. The sun blinded me. Well, you can see all that. It's a pretty decent size. Let me go over. So this right here, I don't want you to, oh, it's so dark now with the sun. Now it's bright. Hopefully this is coming up good. It might not. Let me change my angle. So that's Sherry, big, beautiful. She's about 6'4", about my height essentially if you go to the tippy toppies. Really, really nice. And then this one right here is a seedling, which is separate. That big old, nice old trunk right there. It's a separate little seedling. As you can see, it's just putting on new growth, which this loquat right here is probably 3 years old. 1 year in the, like less than 1 year in the ground, but 2 years old when we planted it. So it's about 3 years old. Really, really nice. Yeah, but I was thinking like, what am I gonna showcase in the yard? Everything's all cold and windy and things are all losing their leaves. Show you an example of what that looks like. Look at that. That's my persimmon. My beautiful persimmon with a nice thickness on the trunk. Completely naked. Although my Urizane almond is just a beast. I did a planting video on this Urizane almond. I planted it in the worst conditions possible. I got to do an update video for it, but I mean, look at this thing. Look at all this new growth. Like that's just all new growth, all across the board. Planted it under the worst conditions. Still a superstar. So yeah, really what I got flowering is really Sherry Loquat. And guys, just again, these garden vlogs will kind of be a little bit random at first, but then I'll tighten them up. Hopefully, I don't know if this recording is actually going to land just because of the wind, so we'll see what it sounds like. I got some basil that I just spread the seeds of that is just growing, but I think the bees kind of sucked this guy dry, so there's not much in the way there. And luckily, last night, we didn't have a frost because there's no ice in the bird bath. Pro tip, bird baths are a great way to, if you put them, not only do you feed the wildlife water, but especially because it's such a dry winter, but you can actually also get an idea of whether or not you had a light frost in your yard, because the grass might warm up before the ice does in the bird bath. So it's super nice. And I can tell it got a little cold because if I go over here, I don't know if you guys remember seeing this Turk's cap hibiscus. You see that? Took a wee bit of damage. See that? It's got a little bit of damage. So I got a little cold right here. Not super cold, but cold enough for sure to damage the flowers. So I think last video I went all around and like talked about the outskirts and what I had in the raised beds. I mean, in the inskirts, I don't have anything too crazy. I have secret plants behind all these frost fabrics that I'm not gonna unveil yet because I don't know. We're gonna get pretty cold this week, so I don't actually know. Look at it, it's like a fucking monster. If I go right here, oh, what's inside? You know, but I don't wanna unveil them yet in case I kill them this winter. But I do have secret plants in various frost fabrics throughout the yard, so we'll see how I do. This is a warmer winter, but we are getting a little bit of I think a cold snap this weekend, or this week, so we'll see how it goes. This is rosemary. It's always fun to put rosemary in the ground because then when you rub it, then you can just smell your fingers and it smells like rosemary. It's so fun. And then you can go up to your significant other and be like, hey, smell my fingers, and but it doesn't smell bad. It's a terrible joke. Terrible joke. Tango mandarin, obviously, tango mandarins are gonna have citrus pretty much. January through April is kind of their whole period for citrus. They start to put on obviously that normal standard color. I find I don't really go by color for the Tango Mandarin, because in these colder months, cold is when it puts sweet for citrus. When it cold elicits that sweet flavor in citrus. Like the heat ripens, the cold sweetens for citrus and certain other plants. But with these guys, you'll be like, hey, you know, a lot of these are green, so why would you say they can be ready in January? And some of these are redder than others, or oranger than others. But really what I go by for is feel. So like this one right here, it's still green, but it feels, I don't want to say soft, but it gives. Versus if I do this one's firmer. This one's a lot firmer. So what you realize is, I don't go by the color. I just go by the feel. How firm is it? How much does it feel like it's juicy? So this one right now, even though it's really, really green, I can take this off and it'd still be a decent quality fruit. Obviously, I wouldn't take it off, but what we do is it's what Kim told Kim to do is, as she desires citrus, she comes out here and she says, okay, let me check all these. You know, it's like a fucking physical. Let me check all these bowls and see which one tastes the best. You know, she's like, you know, let's just check them all, see which one's the firmest. You know, and we don't go by color. You know, because some of these obviously are definitely more, you know, orange than others. But yeah, that's what I do for this guy. This right here is the Moro Blood Orange. So I love pigment. What I started to do, what I like to do is, I don't like to have white fleshed fruit as much. I like pigment. So like, if you look right here, you can't really see it home. Let me block it a little bit so you can see there. It's a big boy. This is a Eve. And then if I go up here, you can see this is a dwarf everbearing right here. And then this is a Shangri-La right here. Let me block a little bit. Don't accidentally dox myself. But yeah, so I can't show you like some of the higher shots, and I do more ground shots because of where I'm positioned at. But middle of my yard has these deciduous mulberries, and these guys are gonna produce an insane amount of fruit this year. It's absolutely beautiful. I've already, the Shangri-La is pretty trimmed up. Eve, I mean, like, look at this. That trunk is, it's crazy. Eve is gonna need to be lightly trimmed, but I've discovered the main trimming for a mulberry should really be after harvest, because they can take the heat like anyone, and you get better fruit production the following year. When I bare bones cut them in the winter time, like I would now, I would chop Eve all the way back down to like 6 feet. Well, guess what? Eve doesn't want to produce fruit now, or she produces almost nothing. You know what I'm saying? So now what I do is I say, you know what? Eve's also not letting go of any of her leaves. So now what I do, I'm gonna go back down, is I say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut it back a little bit so it's not too tall and the fruit doesn't get too high, let it fruit, and then I'm gonna turn around and I'm going to get the fruit. After I harvest the fruit, I'm just gonna probably what I'm gonna end up doing is, I'm gonna try to force it, all these little buds, I'm gonna try to force it to start branching out down here. New growth, right? All these little tiny little buds. And I'm gonna do that by, like, I think they call it girdling or whatever, where you just, or I forget the term, knocking, where you just cut and then it turns, you cut above it and then it makes this thing pop off. And the reason I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna get all the new growth, and once the new growth gets about a foot high, I'm literally just gonna cut right above. That's how I'm gonna keep this tree down. And then what's gonna happen is it'll shoot up throughout the summer and throughout the fall, and it'll put up on all those buds and everything. And then what will happen is, come next spring, it should fruit a lot. That's the goal. We'll see how that works, but that should be the case. You guys will find out if I'm wrong next year. The dwarf everbearing, I mean, really all I have to fix on this guy is, what is this? This is just, look at that woodpecker got in there or something. All I gotta fix on this guy is I gotta take out these bottom shoots. I just gotta take out these bottom shoots and I'll be good to go. The top is looking real beautiful, real lush. But yeah, I gotta take out these bottom shoots. And this dude's trunk, look how thick that is. Let me get this leaf out. You see how thick that is? It's crazy. So yeah, it's super pretty, super thick. I didn't see this before. If I go in, where it has like this hole. Now we do have woodpeckers And I do trim, so I think it's just how it like dies back. So I think I'm okay, but I will keep an eye out. It's super healthy up above, so I'm not really concerned. But I do have woodpeckers that come in and they'll like peck stuff, even though I paint the trunks, and they'll leave like huge gashes, and it's always a pain in the butt. I don't know. Hopefully I don't have to redo this. We've already been going for 10 minutes and the wind's been kind of crazy. The last thing I wanted to showcase before I forget, let me go in here. This is the sweet almond. It's not an edible. It's just something that produces a lot of blooms. The bees love it. Pollinators love it. It smells good. Just growing in here. So this is like this perfect enclosure, but right between the dwarf and the Shangri-La because of how they spread out. This is like the perfect filtered sunlight area. So you have all these things that like, if I plant something here, it'll grow. So I have the sweet almond here. I got the freaking jasmine over there. You can't really see it. And then obviously the basil's over there and it's acting like an annual. I also have a random mulberry sprout. I don't know what the hell that is. That I got rid of the white Persian. That might be a white Persian remnant. So we'll see what happens there. But then I also somehow got, oh shit, I'm getting caught on all this stuff. A fucking citrus. Pardon my language, guys. A citrus. Look at this. It's got thorns. But if you look, let's see if I can get in there. If I get in there, oh, thorns. If you look, it's got multiple branches. So I think it's multiple, let me look. Try to see if I can't grab it. Look, it's like it's not one trunk, it's multiple, which leads me to believe it's like seeds and stuff. Ah, thorns. You can't see it. It's hard to see because of all the leaves and stuff, but I think this is more than one plant. I'm not 100% sure. If you look at it, it's very pretty. It's got the special type of leaf. You usually see those in like limes and stuff or certain grapefruits. I think this is going to be a grapefruit seedling. So here's the thing. How the heck did I get a citrus plant here that's clearly a seed growth? Is you might be asking yourself. And I don't really know. Here's my best guess. In my yard, I have a lemon. I have various types of citruses. I now have a grapefruit, and I have kumquats. And I have cutie type varieties. Well, in order to have seeds like this, because like I said, you can't see, but there's multiple trunks. In order to get those type of seeds, I would have to have more than one seed, it looks like. So what I'm thinking, possibly more than one seed, but what I'm thinking, here's what happened. This is likely a remnant from seeds from a store-bought citrus, right? So the cuties and the clementines, they don't really have seeds, right? The ones I grow don't really have seeds, and they wouldn't be here. So I was thinking back, and about 2 years ago, Kim was buying, this is what made us really fall in love, outside of, like, we bought it, and then Kim was buying blood oranges and red grapefruit. Because she knows I love red grapefruit. She doesn't care about red grapefruit because of the bitterness, but she loves blood oranges. And we eating blood oranges. I was like, let me grow one. So I got a dwarf one, put it in the thing, and we had our first blood oranges like a year later, and it was amazing. So that's why we planted even more blood oranges, because they're so delicious. And I fell in love with that red pigment. So I think this is either a blood orange or red grapefruit variety seedling, because I would have dumped those seedlings over here. I would have dumped those seeds and peels over here. So that's my best guess. Now, because that's when it would have happened, this plant is probably like this year, January 2025, should be year 3 of this plant's existence. I'm imagining this plant should be in year 3. So I could be off a year. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's growing under the Shangri-La pretty good. I mean, worst case scenario, I can always graft this onto another citrus tree if I want to see what becomes of it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it just be a bush, keep it a bush, and then just see if it starts producing fruit and just have a bush right here in the middle. I mean, it's kind of high density, but why not? It should be able to get plenty of sunlight to be delicious. So we'll see what happens there. And if it turns out to be an actual like new variety that's super cool and is like super unique and super different, then I'll do something with it. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it a small bush here until it tries to produce some type of fruit, and we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, that's, I know I just rambled a little bit, but I wanted to document that, so in future videos when I come by and you see it, it'll be really cool. But yeah, it's a little bit of my middle yard. Like I said, I don't have a lot of form and structure yet. I'm kind of just going out and just talking about what's going on every week in the yard, and this is what's going on. Got a little bit of citrus, got sherry. The sherry loquat is flowering, so I'm gonna have loquats in May. I'm hoping I should have a lot. We'll see. The reason I got the seedling is I wasn't sure if Sherry needed a pollinator, because she flowered last year but only produced like 4 fruit. But this year she's flowered, you know, like 6 times as much. So I'm hoping to get, if I can get 30 fruit, I'll feel pretty good. If I don't, then I'm really hoping that seedling starts flowering soon. And loquats flower way sooner than you think. So yeah, it's your boy Britannia's JWa with Gardening with JWa. Hopefully this wind isn't a nightmare. I've been going on for a while, so I'm probably not going to re-record this, but hopefully you guys forgive me if the wind is just absolute garbage. Bye for now, guys.